Yeah, got it.
Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to our 7th day of 12 days of action of this Jagat campaign on nonviolent economy. We are very happy to have you here today again to hear some of the relevant highlights of the day from the different actions happening around the world. But also we are very glad to have today with us a lot of wonderful people who will share their experiences on how they are planting local gardens and why is this very important to transit to a nonviolent economy. We will be learning a lot, so stay with us the whole day. We will start sharing a small musical video clip as every day, and stay with us after that so you can know more about the campaign. Jay, could you play the music, please?
ये फाइव को जय जगत बोली रहा है ऐसे रास्ते में जय जगत
सबके हित के वास्ते अपना सुख विसारे जा सबके हित के वास्ते अपना सुख विसारे जा जय जगत जय जगत जय जगत पुकारे जा जय जगत जय जगत जय जगत पुकारे जा विसारे जा सबके हित के वास्ते अपना सुख विसारे जा.
But in Armenian way, we should say
Haftanak, 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 ashkari.
Haftanak, 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 ashkari. Haftanak, 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 ashkari.
Haftanak, haftanak, ashkari.
A state of emergency will be called in Armenia tonight.
Tino ke
possible.
Thank you very much, Jay. There we had a wonderful Jagat song played by our Armenian friends from the Global Peace March almost 2 years ago. It's very excited to watch it and to see how after a lot of time we are still here as a family trying to reconvene and see how we can keep working on this journey for peace and justice with all of you. Welcome to this daily broadcast. To start, let me introduce Jagat Harris, the international coordinator of this global movement, who will introduce and frame a little bit our today theme, which is cleaning community and planting local gardens. Welcome, Jill.
Thank you, and Jai Jagat to everybody. Thank you for to the panelists for joining us today. So the idea of today's theme and today's broadcast was really to reflect on an aspect of the nonviolent economy, which is not common. It is the concept of how to use voluntary labor, how to use one's labor in a minimally paid way, or as Gandhi called bread labor, in order to do something within the community, to clean the community, to grow a community garden. And what was, I think, significant is about this notion of shramdan, which is what it's called in the Hindi language, is that in this current situation with climate change, bringing gardens alive, bringing this voluntary labor together with plantation and community garden and cleaning the environment to allow life to be robust, is really how we wanted to frame today's program. And what community garden gets us to think about is people coming together and on a common piece of land and thinking about their food and their what they can grow together. It's almost, for me, the garden is a metaphor for nonviolent economy, because normally we think of economy as a big system of trade of goods and services. But actually, Aristotle many years ago spoke about economy as home economy, as that which is the extension of the home. And I think we need to re-visualize economy as something near, as something that's part of us, that is in the relation of our community. And but what is interesting today is some of our speakers will look at community gardens as a form of health and well-being, as a way of being more self-reliant, as we also have, fortunately, Iseline and Claire here to talk about peace gardens, and Veronique, and how gardens can help bring a sense of peace in a community as well. It is, in any event, the garden is the connection with nature and the connection with people together to nature. And I think this helps us to refocus nonviolent economy. So it is our internal motivation, our shramdan, our desire to voluntarily create these gardens for the sake of our community, that is the value that we also wanted to emphasize in the theme today. So with no further ado, I hand it back to, we're going to, in the first part of the presentation, look at the actions that have been going on today before we move into our session of hearing from our panelists, our speakers on planting a garden. So Monica, Jai Jagat.
Many thanks, Jill. Jai Jagat. So yeah, we will start just presenting few updates from today's and yesterday's actions. As you know, every day, the Mahatma Gandhi Canadian Foundation for World Peace, they are organizing a North American Relay Fast from 21st of September to 2nd of October, where a lot of people, teachers, activists, they've been invited to join for one day of fast, sharing a message for peace. And yesterday, Pekka Reino, who is a teacher, a community organizer, and an environmental advocate, decided to take up this individual action for peace. And he is sharing with us a short message that I would like to share with you on the screen so we can see it together. And he says, I am fasting to raise awareness of the need to develop a more respectful relationship with the earth. It's not ours to destroy with our own greed. It gives us oxygen and life, and we need to replenish it. Specifically, I am waiting to raise awareness of the Simcoe Greenbelt Coalition. It is a part of an alliance of more than 30 groups from across Simcoe County, working in support of a green and just recovery from COVID-19. Many thanks to Riva, and many thanks also to Pekka Reino from Canada for sharing this message for peace. And remember, we are still inviting people to join fast today and share with us also your message for peace. That's also a way that we can also build a global community by sharing these different actions in our many different places. Also, I'm very, very happy to have today with us Ajit from India. As you know, on 21st of September, 100 marches across different districts in India start to walk, and now it's been almost 7 days of marching, and we have this young marcher who also was part of the Global Peace March, and he's with us today to share what's been the mainly highlights of yesterday and today. And over you, Ajit, welcome.
Thank you, Monica. Jai Jagat to one and all.
Jai Jagat.
Jai Jagat.
Share my happiness of being back to road after a while, and that even I'm happy that I'm sharing road with Honorable Rajaji. Interestingly, this time, Monica, I would like you to share some pictures and videos if possible, gradually. Yeah, thank you. So this time, apart from other yatras, this time we are in the eastern coast of India. So unfortunately, yesterday and today we are having some cyclone effects all these areas, but no much of damage. This particular state of India which we are in, it is Odisha, which is very much prepared for this rehabilitation work because every year they get some cyclones. So the system for this rehabilitation and all, it's quite good over here. We started our yatra from the coastal part of Odisha, which is the eastern coast of Odisha, and gradually we addressed many padayatras in the starting days of 22nd, 23rd, and we are moving gradually to let's say the south part of southwest part of Odisha. So this is in the district of Kalahandi, which is a very tribal district of Odisha, where you can see a mother carrying her son and walking in solidarity of Jai Jagat, which means justice is so far from them. So here I've been to many yatras, and but this time it's like the discipline which we had, it was terribly amazing by the yatris, by the foot marchers. And yeah, today we are mainly discussing about this non-violent economy part. but I'm not sure. In last couple of days experience, I don't have much things to say about the non-violent economy, but still we've been to some seed banks, we've been to some place. We had this our Ekta Parishad last activity, which was the Shram Bank, which is the labor bank activities and all there, which is in a way gave a great relief for the people during this challenging COVID time. They were not without this wages, not without job and all. So coming back, the location, it was so amazing, and the climate also was so favorable for yesterday's walk. So we had an amazing walk for around 10 kilometers yesterday. We addressed a couple of villages there. The main issue of them was they don't have land. In spite of being working for so long, in spite of not exploiting the nature, in spite of not doing much of violence in this global level or local level, they don't have land. So that's how they gave the solidarity to Jai Jagat. I remember the per annual carbon emission of a developed country, like let's say US or China, is let's say 27 ton per year. Annual emission of carbon of a poor person, which is like 5 billion or 4.5 billion of the world, is just 1.5 carbon emission, 1.4 ton per year. And if the carbon emission of the whole world is 27, which is the average of an American person, then the world is no more. So it's because we are here because of the poor people. I'm not glorifying that. I'm not, but that's how they treat the world and environment. So that is there in their lifetime. So it was amazing to walk with them in this very interior part of them. So indigenous culture and indigenous knowledge, which is something which is very let's say very unavoidable, or very we can all have to learn many things from the indigenous people. Another thing I want to say is like the experience which yesterday and today, Ekta Parishad's last project was renovating few lakes and all in the village. So the 2-3 effect of that is, one, like the people and the villages, especially the indigenous people, were not having their job, or were not having proper food and all to eat during this COVID time. As well, it is a very rejuvenating process of nature that we are, let's say, revitalizing a water body, which is gradually now they started using it for their cattle started using. Some part of that is can be used for this farming process, all these things. So all these experience in terms of, let's say, they are counteracting with climate crisis. They are making a self-sustainable economy, not for a great profit, but for their sustenance. So all these were very much evident, and very much evident in these yatras. Another thing I would like to share is like Jai Jagat. I'm very proud to be a part of Jai Jagat. To all my global friends, like we are there in let's say around 25-30 nations. We are having Jai Jagat, and more than many countries, people are coming and joining us in this webinar and all. So I'm so happy and grateful at this point of particular time. I'm in India, and we are walking on the road with let's say hundreds and thousands of people. Let's say more than 1 lakh people. This time we are not going in a unidirectional way. This is a very decentralized pattern of walking. We are in India. We are having 106 marches. 106 marches is quite a big marches, and many of the marches are going with very much crowded. So wherever we go, we get food. People are treating us. Everybody needs justice. Everybody needs a better world for a better generation. But this essence of this idea have to reach everywhere, reach to the rich people, reach to the corporate people. So they are destroyed. So now there are a lot of varieties of let's say species and seeds we are having here. But all these are in a way there's a very bad intervention of this corporate world in this indigenous area of not only in India, every part of the world. It's like Mexico, everywhere it's there. So let's say we need so we need a better world. So we have a lot of non-violent techniques and non-violence models here and there. So I'm very happy to share my experience of walking in this part, and very proud to be a part of Jai Jagat. Jai Jagat is addressing the marginalized. Jai Jagat is addressing the I don't want to use the word underprivileged. They don't. I mean, it's much sad to use that word. Jai Jagat is addressing the people who is struggling for their sustenance. Jai Jagat is providing a hope for them. But it's let's say being a youth, and this is our turn now. We have to take this hope. We have to execute something. We have to generate a product out of this hope. And I feel it's time for a great moment. It's a great moment is emerging in the leadership of Rajagopal and Dr. Jill and Jai Jagat. Like we have to make some spark out of it now. So there are a lot of people who really want to support us in the indigenous people. So I hope if we start something from India and we take it all across all the global way. So I really hope something good is going to happen, and we look forward to hear from all. And I'm so happy some garden projects are also happening, which is really going to help this, let's say, environment in their own way. So all have to be interactive with this nature. Let's hope for a world with without violence and with lot of peace and harmony. Jai Jagat. Thank you.
Jai Jagat. Thank you, Ajit. Monica, should we?
Thank you very much. Yeah. Yes, thank you very much, Ajit, for presenting these updates from the Indian marches. We will keep also following the next steps, and very happy to see where this goes on 2nd of October. Thanks. Now we are very happy also to show you some of the pictures from our friends in Africa, in Burkina Faso. There is a very important movement of youth, which is called Youth Burkinabe for Another Possible World. And they, in collaboration with the association Timbia Kakpo, few days back, they organized an activity for health and change related to peace and climate. They organized with very young people to clean their community. And this action also took place in the Roundabout transition, which is like a popular place where it is remembered a popular insurrection on the 2015 for the departure of the president Blaise Compaoré, who was 17 years in power. And so it was very interesting to see how also people is remembering and taking this space, the public spaces, to also do a labor and a work for the community. We are very, very thankful with Emmanuel, who is the president of this organization of youth, and also we hope to do something together later on, and so they can also keep us sharing what they are doing for these 12 days of action. Also, as we are already in Africa, we are very happy to have some friends from the organization Help Orphans for Future Nation, who also have an eco farm, which is a permaculture center in Uganda. And they also shared with us a few images on how they organized like 3 days back to promote a collective plantation of trees. And let's see some of the images we have from them. there we have in this permaculture center. And I think this is something they usually do anyway. But now, I mean, we're very happy to see that they also wanted to bring this action and stay with the Jai Jagat campaign also. I think this is like a very new project. And they are growing food also here to support some of the meals of some of these orphans children, and we really hope all the best for this new project, and also we will keep in touch with them and see how we can collaborate together.
Monica, would you like me to share the video from our Burkina Faso friends?
Sure, please do.
Ok, bonjour. J'ai fait cette vidéo en soutien à la Jagat internationale depuis Genève pour apporter notre soutien à l'action pour la paix et le climat. Ce matin, nous sommes réunis au rond-point de la transition avec les parapluies de l'assainissement pour une activité de salubrité. Merci pour la confiance.
Thank you. That was a brief sentence. Monica, if you wish, I can also give a quick summary of the other events happening around the country in Balaghat and the other districts in the India marches, because as Ajit elaborated about the Orissa part, we also have marches going on in different parts of the country, which we could not cover yet. Or should we come back to that later?
You have, if you have 5 minutes, we can share there also. Thank you.
Sure. Jai Jagat friends, so I'm very quickly going to take you through what's been happening in other parts of India with Jai Jagat. In Balaghat district, we have had this march where the Padyatra reached the night halt in Balaghat district to Khandwa, and they had a very interesting discussion where they talked about the use of chemicals and plastics and its impact on the village and how they can stop using it, because of the industrial development around the area. There's a lot of problem of pollution that's happening. Next up, we'll quickly go to the next location, which is the district of, which is the town of Baitul in Madhya Pradesh, central India again. In Baitul, they have a different set of challenges, which are where the march basically started from Jhangir Pani and reached Rambha while crossing Godra. And the marchers organize small meetings. The challenges that they have here are the land issues. So the Yatra went to different parts in Baitul and had a very interesting set of conversations about why these 12 days of action are important and how it is connected to their local challenges while connecting them to the global aspect of the campaign. The Padyatris there and the local people, they were very happy to learn about the presence of such an action and to be a part of it. Next up, we'll be going to the district of Guna, which is another district in Madhya Pradesh. In Guna, the Yatra reached Mudhol village and they were welcomed by the village head, Shri Mishra Lalji. While explaining about the background of the village, Mr. Lal said that many villages have land in their name, but those lands, despite being in the name of these villagers, are being occupied by the rich farmers of the area. So the rich farmers are essentially like landowners who are illegally using the land that belongs to some of these smaller, poorer farmers in the villages. And our team is trying to work with them and see what can be done. Kalahandi has already been explained by Ajit, so I will move on to Kanked next, which is
Chhattisgarh.
in Chhattisgarh. Sorry, I'm just trying to load the photos and speak, so it's a little yeah, sorry, the coordination might be a little less smooth than you would like. So, but in Kanke district in Chhattisgarh, the Yatra had a very interesting experience again, where we started from Kevati and reached Janakpur. And there were these discussions with the villages about the local economy and the challenges of the local economy and how to address them. We also had a group of young women and children kind of joining the march just out of solidarity with us. So it was very encouraging to see that. Uh, Now moving on to Lalitpur, which is in Odisha. We had a very interesting set of marches in Lalitpur again. I'll also try to show you a brief video from Lalitpur. In Lalitpur, the foot march reached Sarau Kala. Here, there was a small community meal that was organized. And after that, they had a meeting in which they discussed how plastics should be boycotted and to use rural alternatives to empower the local economies. I'll very quickly move on to Rajnandgaon, which is in, Lalitpur is in Uttar Pradesh, my bad. Now we're going to Rajnandgaon, which is a town in the district of Chhattisgarh again, where in Rajnandgaon we had an interesting set of discussions about kitchen gardens, which is also a theme for today. So the march started from Kurmata and reached the night hall. A lot of women participated in this particular march. And in this meeting, they discussed how planting kitchen gardens and small scale gardening and farming could be used to help the community and be a source of income for the poor and marginalized farmers. Moving on to the next district, we are in the region of Shahdol in Madhya Pradesh. It is a very interesting area, very volatile area once upon a time. But now it's really become a very calm area and it's progressing quite well. Here, the foot march reached Anadia Kala village, and initially we had some trouble to get permission, but now the administration decided to kind of help us and go with us. So the Yatra went together, organized a community meal, and we had a series of very interesting discussions for, again, nonviolent economy and the overall themes of the 12 days. Now moving on to Shivpuri in Madhya Pradesh. We had, again, a very interesting series of discussions there, where the march went from Shampur to Virajwal village. And Shivpuri is very deeply in the tribal belt. So the march was interacting a lot with the tribals of the Sehriya tribals and discussing the issues of land with them. They are a marginalized community and they've had a lot of issues with their land being acquired and so on and on. They also have a problem of, because it's a pretty remote area, that basic facilities like electricity were not available to the indigenous community there for a long time. So this is from the march in Shivpuri district to Vijaraval village. I'm sorry if the pronunciations are not very accurate. Next, and last for today, we'll just go to the Sindhi district in Madhya Pradesh. In Sindhi, the march started from Umaria village, and the marchers had a small meeting to understand what they could do about the upcoming tiger reserve in the area. The government is planning a tiger reserve in Sindhi, and this is going to have a direct impact on the people because it can displace the indigenous communities that have been living in this area. So they had an interesting discussion about how to accommodate the local people living in the region with the idea of the tiger reserve built to balance the environmental aspect of it and to make sure that the wildlife population is conserved, as well as doing justice to the local people living in the region. Thank you. I'm sorry if I've taken more time than I should, Monica. Handing it back to you. We do have a small message from Rajaji, but I think we can show that right at the end because he's in the middle of the march and he's shared a message with us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Jay, for this interesting briefing on the different jatras. Yeah, as you said, there are so many, so it's also good to understand how it's happening. Just before we conclude this first part of our panel and session today, let me just present the daily ANCOC, the Asian NGO webinars they are holding every day. And today there was a very, very interesting session on the inner peace and yoga class for NGOs, activists and workers. So let me just introduce a little bit of this, which also will give us some energy, I think. And they are also trying to incorporate many aspects on peace and justice and nonviolence. And as we have also discussed in other Jai Jagat spaces, the inner peace is also a very important and fundamental part for all of us to stay on this walk through peace and justice.
From pain in the pocket, which everybody would say yes, but pain somewhere, shoulders, or headache, or acidity, or lower back pains. No, do you have any problems in your body right now? Any pain in the body? If I ask you to move your shoulders like this, would you be able to feel the elasticity of your body? Or you will feel it is so tight, I cannot move it, it is so painful. So try now, loosen up your shoulders, loosen up like so, okay? Turning it back and then forward. Yeah. Simple movement that you can see. When I turn my shoulder back, what happens? I open this part of my body. This is called the heart center, the heart chakra. This is where your respiratory system is. This one controls really the heart and your lungs, and your entire respiratory system, including the tight here and your ribs. So by opening up, you expose yourself. And this leads now to how do you breathe. Earlier, there was this slide by Tina, no? I think it's...
So this was just a very brief part and piece of the webinar, and yeah, we invite you all to also watch them every day at 1:30 Indian time. There are different topics, and tomorrow actually there will be the one on rural development and community development, so don't miss it. You can also watch them on our Facebook page, and yeah, follow this very interesting discussion. Thank you very much to the ANCOC NGO for being part also of this nonviolent economy campaign. So, okay, friends, I think we can go to a break, a very short musical break, and then we will continue with a very, very interesting panel on planting local gardens and cleaning communities. Many thanks.
Passing by the highway, I see a barren field. And my eyes believing that's the place where I have been. What have we done to the world? Why are we killing it? What do we offer the kids if we don't stop doing that?
क्यों है बदलाओ ये मंजर, क्यों घर मेरा लगता है बंजर, क्यों घर मेरा लगता है बंजर, अनजाना सा हो गया, जाने क्यों था जो अपना, कहाँ गए वो मेरे लोग, क्यों लगता है सब एक सपना, क्यों है बदलाओ ये मंजर, क्यों घर मेरा लगता है बंजर, क्यों है बदलाओ ये मंजर, क्यों घर मेरा लगता है बंजर। वो पेड़ वो वादियाँ क्यों सब है खो गए, कहाँ गई वो बारिश क्यों पंछी सो गए, कहाँ गई वो झीलें क्यों पतझड़ हो गए, क्यों बच्चे ना दिखे क्यों मैदान खो गए, क्यों है बदलाओ ये मंजर, क्यों घर मेरा लगता है बंजर, क्यों है बदलाओ ये मंजर, क्यों घर मेरा लगता है बंजर। खेत जंगल खलियां सब गायब हो गए, सूखे की मार से सब हंसते रो पड़े, जो था एक बगिया अब मैदान हो चला, जो था हम सब का हम सबसे छिन गया, क्यों है बदलाओ ये मंजर, क्यों घर मेरा लगता है बंजर, क्यों है बदलाओ ये मंजर, क्यों घर मेरा लगता है बंजर।
Passing by the highway, I see a barren field. And my eyes believing that's the place where I have been. What have we done to the world? Why are we killing it? What do we offer the kids if we don't stop doing that?
Thank you very much, Jay, and welcome again, everyone. So today we are having a panel discussion on a couple of beautiful initiatives on local gardens in Europe, one in France and one in Geneva. And we are very, very happy to have today with us Alain Danroise from Jagat, Belgium, who has been also very involved in the importance on planting local gardens in different places, and also he has also built up a lot of interesting knowledge and reflections with us on the importance of transit to a non-violent economy. So we're very happy to have you with us, Alain. Thank you for being here. And also the other two persons of this panel is Claire from Les Hortes d'Evénement, It's also a very interesting initiative on a local garden. And Claire is, for several years, he has been working on planting gardens, and also she's an artist, and she works also with animation, and she's trying to put all these things together. And we're also very happy to hear later, Claire, from your experience, and also with the help from Iselin, who was one of our global peace marchers on 2020, and she's been collaborating with this garden too. And she will help us also with some translation and also to introduce this project. And then we have also Denis. He's a farm working in organic market gardening, and also he has developed some of the, he's part of the municipal representative of the Green Party for Geneva, and he has helped Jagat doing some research on land, food security, and in India, and how it is adversely impacted by the WTO. So very welcome, all of you, and over to you, Alain. If we would love to hear a brief introduction from your side, and can you, are you able to listen, Alain? Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Monica. Thank you for your words and for your introduction. Thank you for the testimony, the experience sharing we have received, because it's so important. One other year before, there are the worker gardens inside the cities to give food to people working nearby, the metallurgists, the carbon industry, and so on. And now we are speaking about the community garden. What is the inspiration? I put the question to Iselin, Claire, and Denise, and also the concept of economy of subsistence that Ajit have explained to us. I think it's very important to take also this second concept. So maybe if what's happened in our cities in Europe, we can begin by this first simple questions, because something is moving. Most of cities are community gardens. People are creating solidarity links. Why are they doing that?
Ale, if I may interrupt, can I request you please turn your camera on?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yes. We can have also the background of the peasants movement, if you think it's important.
No, it's okay.
Okay. So Claire or Iselin, Denise, what's happened in your cities? Iselin, with the microphone, please.
Yeah, Iselin, you are mute. Welcome, Iselin. If you would like to maybe introduce a little bit the Intergovernmental project of Claire, it could be
but
wonderful.
It's
Thank you.
I don't know, because it's not in a city. It's more near a village, but it's more in the countryside. It's not in a big city. Alain, you know the place where is Claire, and maybe you can ask Claire. Voilà, Saint-Bonnet. Bon, j'y suis aussi, mais Saint-Bonnet, it's not a big town. It's not a big city. But I don't know how you want to ask maybe to Claire the question, no?
Okay, because it's I see this experience in Saint-Bonnet 1 year before, 2 years, I don't know. It's very solidarity experimental for me, because in the Alps mountains, some people are given time very often to have a garden for the community. It's fun. It's a dream. Claire, please, explain us.
Donc, je peux peut-être expliquer le début de ce projet, comment ce projet est né.
Yes, let's go.
Donc, on est dans une région de montagne, rurale et assez isolée, avec pas mal de personnes âgées. Je ne sais pas, Isaline, tu veux traduire au fur et à mesure ou pas? Non. On ne t'entend pas.
Micro.
You're mute.
Micro.
Do I translate or somebody wants to translate? Okay, because yeah, okay, Claire is beginning with why they created this garden, and it's in a rural mountainous area. And it's a place where there's a lot of older people.
Et le projet est né d'une rencontre à un concert dans un petit village entre une personne et moi-même. Et on discutait de savoir ce qu'on faisait de nos vies. Et j'ai expliqué que je faisais des animations autour du jardin. Et cette personne faisait partie d'une association tout près du lieu du jardin qui œuvre au maintien à domicile de personnes âgées ou handicapées. Et c'est comme ça que cette idée de projet de jardin est née.
How the idea was born. It's because Claire, that is here, she was at the concert and she met someone at the concert, musical concert, and they were talking and about their life. And Claire, she's working with a lot of what is garden, what is animation, well, this. And I'm sorry, I am not a translator. And so, Claire, la fin, excuse-moi. Donc,
c'était une rencontre avec une personne qui faisait partie d'une association.
Ah, voilà. And the person with whom she was talking, she was part of an organization that want to maintain people, older people, at their house, no? So they don't have to be sent to special house for elder people, but to maintain them in their home.
Et donc, on a choisi pour mener ce projet de rester en contact avec la nature et de faire notre projet dans un jardin.
For this project, so they decided to maintain their connection with nature and to do this project in a garden.
Pourquoi dans un jardin? Parce qu'on est convaincu que le contact avec la nature apporte beaucoup aux personnes, à tout le monde. C'est quelque chose de ressourçant, c'est quelque chose d'apaisant et quelque chose qui est aussi connu de beaucoup de gens, puisqu'on est dans une région où les gens ont toujours jardiné depuis plusieurs générations.
So why in a garden? Because the connection with nature, it's very, I don't like to translate. It's very important, and we are in a region where with a garden, everybody has a garden, like to garden, no? And moreover, the connection for each one, connection with nature can bring peace.
Et donc, l'idée de ce jardin, c'est vraiment de créer le lien entre les personnes pour favoriser la rencontre autour d'activités.
So the garden is to create links between the people and creating links through activities and through the garden.
Et dans un jardin,
it's important to create links between the people.
Et dans un jardin, on peut tout faire. On peut jardiner, mais on peut aussi faire de la création, se reposer, se détendre, manger, partager des choses.
We can do everything. We can gardening, but we can build some things. We can have a rest. We can share a meal.
Et donc, c'est un jardin qui est ouvert à tout le monde, tout au long de l'année. Et on organise une présence avec des animations entre avril et fin octobre, au moins une fois par semaine, des fois 2 fois par semaine.
So this garden is open during all year, and that welcome everybody. Everybody is welcome in this garden. And it's open all the year, but the activities are from April to the end of October, because it's a mountainous region, and after it's very cold. But and there's always between April and the end of October, people organizing activities, various activities.
Et donc, tous les mercredis, entre avril et octobre, on se retrouve avec un moment de partage de repas à midi qui est très important, qui permet à des gens de se retrouver, de ne pas manger tout seul, de faire à manger pour plusieurs et de retrouver goût à manger aussi, parce que quand on est tout seul et qu'on est âgé, c'est pas toujours facile de manger et d'avoir ce plaisir de manger. Et donc, ce pique-nique est un moment important parce que c'est vraiment, ça recrée du lien. Il y a des gens qui ont plaisir à refaire à manger pour tout le monde. Il y a une dame de 92 ans qui peut faire à manger pour 12 personnes. Elle amène une tarte ou des choses qu'elle a faites. Et c'est vraiment important pour ce lien qui se crée à travers le jardin.
So also between April and the end of October, each Wednesday, people meet to share a meal. This is very important because it's a moment where people can eat with other people. They don't eat alone. And also they make food not only for themselves, but for 12 people or more, but they make food for everybody. So it creates a link between the people. There's even a woman of 92 years old that is able to cook for a plate for 12 people. So it's really creating a link. It's a real moment. People share their meal, but they share conversation, and it's great link. Yeah.
Et les gens qui viennent, ce sont des gens du coin, des gens de tout âge, mais aussi des gens qui viennent d'un peu plus loin, qui viennent de la ville qui se trouve à 20 km. Maintenant, on commence à être connu et il y a plein de gens qui viennent accompagner d'autres personnes. Donc maintenant, après 5 ans, on arrive à avoir des personnes qui amènent une voisine, une personne de leur famille, pour leur faire découvrir le jardin.
So there's people, the people that come, they're from the area, but from all the ages. But now there's also people coming from Gap at 20 kilometers, town, city. And now also some people come with other people, with friends or family. And after 5 years, there are more people coming to discover the garden and to come and share meals.
Alors, le jardin, c'est aussi un espace de création. Et chaque année, on lance un thème d'exposition qui va prendre place au jardin. Et on invite un public très large à participer d'après ce thème et à venir mettre leur œuvre dans le jardin. Et ça, c'est aussi une manière de décorer notre jardin et de donner envie aux gens de passage ou pas de passage de venir au jardin parce que le jardin est beau. En dehors des plantes qu'il peut y avoir, il y a aussi un aspect artistique qui est important.
Okay, this garden is also a place of creation. Every year there's a theme that is chosen, and they invite a large public, and all the people that want, they can come and to create things, and we put the pieces in the garden, and it's a way to decorate also the garden. It's not only fruit and vegetable, but also creation of arts. And it's also to make the garden pretty and to make people willing to come and to visit the garden. So it's very important to see also the garden like artistic place.
Et c'est un jardin qu'on a créé entièrement nous-mêmes. Donc, on est toute une équipe autour du jardin. Et l'idée de ce jardin, c'est de faire tout localement, le plus possible nous-mêmes et avec le plus possible de récupération. Donc, on essaye de faire appel à la population locale quand on a besoin de quelque chose et avant d'acheter. Et si on achète, on essaye de privilégier le local. Et si on a besoin de corps de métier, on fonctionne avec le local.
Also, the garden has been completely created by a team. It's a big team, and everything are made locally. They try not to buy anything, but to try to find some, to ask the people if they need something to people, to try to recuperate things, but they try not to buy, and they try, and if they buy, and very locally. And also for the people, they try to make other people work, try also for the people that work, that they come just locally and try to help. But so this is very important. It's to consume less possible, to reuse.
Donc, c'est un jardin avec des légumes, un peu de fruits, un peu de fleurs aussi. Mais on a laissé une large part pour se promener dans ce jardin. Donc, l'objectif, ce n'est pas la production de légumes, mais c'est vraiment la production du lien. C'est ça le plus important pour nous. Et tout ce qui est cultivé au jardin, c'est des choses qu'on a reçues ou des choses qu'on a cultivées. On a acheté très peu de choses. On essaye de récupérer un maximum de nos graines. On a une grainothèque aussi pour pouvoir échanger avec d'autres personnes et faire profiter d'autres jardiniers. Et au niveau de la vaisselle, on fonctionne aussi avec de la vraie vaisselle pour pas utiliser du carton, du plastique. Et le moment de vaisselle, ce sont des moments conviviaux où on se retrouve autour d'un bac pour laver la vaisselle. Et ça, tout le monde, les gens qui viennent au jardin participent aussi à la vaisselle et c'est des moments importants.
Okay, what is very important, so the seeds, they are the seeds that have been given. They try not to buy seeds also, so they produce vegetables, fruits, you have flowers in the garden, but Claire says what more you produce, it's links between the people. This is the production is very making links with the people. And also they have a seedotech. It's to try to have seeds, to exchange seeds, to people give them seeds, they can give seeds. And for the meals, for example, they don't use plastic dishes or things like that. They use real dishes. And the part of washing the dishes is it's in a big pot of water outside in the garden. So it's make a special atmosphere to wash the dishes together. And it's a moment where people share between them.
Et bien sûr, c'est un jardin qui est cultivé en bio avec une biodiversité intéressante. Et cette biodiversité, on le reporte aussi sur ce public qu'on accueille parce qu'on pense que c'est important d'arriver à avoir cette biodiversité d'accueil dans une société où on a tendance à mettre un peu de côté tout ce qui n'est plus trop productif et notamment les personnes âgées ou les personnes malades ou handicapées. Et donc, nous, dans le jardin, on essaye vraiment de favoriser l'approche de ce public-là et de conscientiser aussi les gens à la problématique de la vieillesse, de comment nos sociétés accueillent ces personnes âgées.
Okay. what is it's a garden, organic garden, and it's with a lot of biodiversity. And but the biodiversity is in the garden, but also with the population coming in the garden, with all the ages, with people with discapacities, with migrants can come. So this biodiversity is very important. This diversity of people, no? And welcoming people that are considered sometimes like aged people or with people with discapacities. They are considered not productive, so they are outside. And this is to make the public change their mind about these people that are let apart. So to welcome really everybody, and this diversity is very, very important.
Il faut arrêter.
Thank you. I think it's possible we will ask to Denise to take the flow. Thank you for this very sensible experience about the link between people and how to build a community with the garden. Thank you, Claire. Okay, Denis, you are in Geneva, I think so.
Yeah, merci. Thank you so much. I've also, oh, perfect. I have a presentation. I don't know, can I share it? Yes.
Yes. Do you want to share it or do you want me to share it?
Oh, please share it if you can, like this. Okay. It's done.
Sure.
You know, I really like your presentation, Claire and Islaine, because I think it's very, very clear, and it's, you know, it's exactly how things happen at the local level, really focusing on the sensible networks and development of mutual understanding between people. And in fact, our presentation is a bit complementary, because I will present more what happens in Geneva area and Canton, which is more like a broader level with a kind of broader scope of a region and also a broader history. Then here, in fact, the second slide, you know, explain to you what happens to the community gardens. You know, it's a process that happens a long time ago. In fact, the idea of developing community gardens really developed with the same time of the industrialization here in Geneva. At the moment in the Geneva Canton, we have like 25 community gardens, and it's for 2,000 families and about 10,000 people. And everything is volunteer. It's all the groups are volunteer, and the federation itself, they are self-organized and they have leads from the town. What is interesting to understand is the historical process of these community gardens is that at the beginning, they were like worker forces, workers coming from different places, especially immigrants from Portugal and other places. And then the idea was really to create food, to have food for their own production and then to work later. But, and it still remains on that sense. But the interesting thing is that it's not only about production of food anymore, it's also a cultural issue. And especially you can see this subculture, especially with the Portuguese community getting together just to talk and to have this community garden. That's basically the historical process till now. But at the same time, lately, this last 10 years especially, and now is really booming, this idea that gardens are not only a food production place, but it's also a place where we gather, a place where it becomes social circles meet together. And therefore, it's also about escaping to daily stress, going towards nature, and having, of course, food production, but also including better relationship with people and nature. And let's go to the next slide then. Monica, yeah. And just example of what is a community garden, because, you know, I tell about what they are, and just a community garden now, you know, so even my plot, and everybody has this small household. It's quite organized. You know, there's a kind of pile of legislation to follow, you know, you have to plant a certain number of trees. You really have to garden the area. Everything has to be bio, no chemicals at all. Next slide, please. Then one of the two key rules that exist for a long time that really fit within also the Swiss society and laws. Of course, it's totally forbidden of fire and forbidden of pesticides and in general, and herbicides, of course, since 2001. That includes everything, you know, the garden, the path, the place to meet, and the roof, you know, everything is forbidden. And it's in fact also in the policy and the local laws, is also in the federal laws. There's something that is within also the broader society in Switzerland. The next slide, please, Monica. But then, based on these historical trends, now the city of Geneva itself wants really to gather, and now there is more like a city-driven idea to support its citizens towards having more gardening. And this becomes quite an issue, where they take part of parks, a park of lands that are not yet used, park of the future buildings that are not yet developed as buildings. Then for 4, 5 or 6 years, the land is just not used and not developed agriculture. And there are like 3 reasons for that. Really to get more nature, to create, of course, to grow food, and to get activities outside with neighbors, to reinforce social relationship. And therefore, the food production becomes kind of mixed between reaching the Agenda 21 towards a more sustainable development, and also a social agenda towards more social cohesion in the city itself. Next slide, please. And based on that idea to simply grow, there is behind 3 points that now the city has. First is to link back the agriculture production within the city, which then, of course, question the consumer with the producer, because most of the consumers are based here in the city and don't even know how the agriculture is being grown, when in fact the producers, they are a bit external. And the idea also is to explain, you know, what is the agriculture, what does it mean. The second is to reconnect the citizens to soil and the agriculture. It's more, you know, to reconnect to, well, the food produced, why is it produced, and how. And the third one is really to raise awareness about agroecology in other ways to eat bio and locals. And agroecology is quite important here. I mean, it's not like on the side. It's just because this idea in the Geneva city, but also in the canton, to go toward food sovereignty. Because what happens is that in 2018, there is a federal, there is a cantonal initiative that passed, and 65% of the people wanted food sovereignty. And therefore now it didn't pass at federal level, but it passed at the cantonal level. And of course, the city level even more. And therefore the city level now, that is in fact led by the Green Party and the Socialist Party, but especially the Green Party, when it is about food production and land use planning, is really committed to go towards food sovereignty, which means 2 sides. First, to really empower the producers that even get a bit further, the agricultural producers, which are more the farmers, to support the farmers to get a better incomes and to close the gap and to have a real links between the production and the consumption. And the second point is also to help the sense to raise awareness about the ecological capacity of our earth and to teach the children and to teach the different people around in city of Geneva about, you know, what does it mean, the food production, are the impacts on carbon emission, what are the impact of the food system. Then basically these gardens are used more also as a broader political tool to illustrate the fates of the agriculture that are elsewhere, and also to question the agricultural systems. That's where we are now.
Okay, thank you, Denis. Is that experiences in city, Geneva? Is in link with your own experience in Mexico, in India also maybe, in Canada, River? What's happened in your countries?
You know, that's a very good question. It's a bit funny. The Geneva, they're a bit funny for that. Even the Swiss are a little bit funny. They tend to think that, you know, they create life. They don't tend to see what happens somewhere else. And sometimes they do. And for example, on food sovereignty, on food system, I even did a large study on how you benchmark city of Geneva compared to other towns in the world. And they compare to quite a number of towns in Belgium, for example, or Copenhagen, but more in the Western Hemisphere, because they wanted to cross-check the city of Geneva to comparable town for this different specific items. And for example, in Belgium, there is Liège that was doing something without chemicals. Then in Brugge, because there was a huge awareness on the even the special week on the food, and Copenhagen because they got everywhere towards eco-agriculture, food production that is, you know, and that is also without you know, animal productions, you know. Then they're a bit like that. It's that's a bit they have a bit the difficulties to compare to you know, not developed countries. That's a bit the point. That therefore, and I don't see them inspiring themselves from Mexico, for example, of others, which I think is a real pity. It's basically a structural difficulty of in Switzerland to look at agricultural system.
I mean, I think in Mexico, for example, of course, there are a lot of interesting initiatives, like more in a community level, of like organizations who have been working on agroecology for so many years, and like also looking for other agricultural and food systems, and that's one thing. But then I mean, I think, which is also interesting, trying to relate this with the campaign we're trying to promote for the people who is not that involved and who has no knowledge on agriculture, for example, no, who are not working on that, how we can promote to develop this, for example, local gardens, even in urban spaces, now as Geneva, how we can, I mean, what is needed for people to take up, for example, these sort of initiatives, no, even at their houses, as the Geneva example, no, not only like if you don't have a piece of land, which is the case of a lot of people, no, how we can do it, no, and I think that's also, I think, part of the challenge. And I don't know, guys, what do you think? Is there any like suggestion, or what would you say to the people who is willing to do it, but they don't know how, right? Because they don't they don't have the knowledge and they don't have probably the space or the land.
Thank you, Monica. Maybe in Canada, Reva, have you some comments? Because we have the very important discussion about India at the beginning with the subsistence economy, the indigenous cultural protection and so on, but with the discussion that Denise have proposed to us, we can think worldwide more easily.
I have to say, Alain, that I don't have a lot to say on this because I don't think in my part of the world anyway, there isn't, my part of the country, there isn't a lot of focus on community gardens. We are spoiled in that we have a great deal of space on our own. I myself have a very large backyard garden and fruit trees and raspberry bushes and space for flower beds that I actually have no time to take care of. So I think a lot of people where I live have their own gardens. But what I can say is that in this last few years where I've been primarily responsible for the garden, I have noticed that it is a way that we can get to know what else is going on in our communities. So my fruit trees they're apples and pears. They've been very productive this year. And one of my neighbors got in touch with me to say that he volunteers at a deer sanctuary. And so he's been coming to pick up the apples that fall from the trees to take to the deer. So it does, in the way that Claire was talking about, it does help to create community, even if we have our own little gardens in our own yards, and allows us to see, I think, a little bit of a broader perspective. So that's about as much as I can share on that, I'm afraid.
Thank you, Eva, thank you. So, suggestion that we have a last message from Claire, Denise, Isaline. And for me, the word nonviolent community economy or subsistence could be in our mind for the future of Jagat. Subsistence economy and community economy. Because, thank you for this testimony, but maybe Isaline, Claire, and Denise some words to conclude.
Yeah, Denise, go ahead.
Yeah, on my side, you touch a good point. In fact, in Geneva, of course, their land is very expensive and there's a big pressure just to basically build. Then you have to understand this also goes against a trend to develop community gardening. It's not necessarily what other wants, and therefore there's a real fight and political fight about, you know, getting access to land and control it, not then to be developed into buildings. And therefore you have to understand that it's really also a real discussion, ongoing discussion with the different parties, but also with the canton Geneva, and therefore it's also a fight, and therefore to develop this community gardening as is not only about sharing and understanding or improving the relationship with the agriculture, with the land. Is also a fight against the urbanization, especially unplanned and totally ad hoc urbanization that is developed even now because of very powerful economic actors that create really weird things around. Then you have to understand that it's also that, even though we talk about non-violent economy, is really a fight between, you know, the land use access. And the second thing is about the idea indeed of subsistence. It's a very important point because we live, in fact, like we were like in the luxury access and land, but I think land is scarce and we need to go back to some basic, that basically we need we need to live for what we need, not necessarily much more, and therefore we also need to rely on what Earth can produce, and to improve the networks between among other. Therefore, this is a double issue, about subsistence, about the production, but also subsistence about the network of people, and it's something that we need really to dig on. Yeah, thank you.
Many thanks, Denis. Really, thank you very much for your time and for this final message. Celine?
Yeah, Claire wants to conclude.
Claire,
I
of
want
course.
just to say a word before Claire. I want to thank everybody for this discussion today. It was very, very interesting. Thank you, Claire. I visited the garden, and really with Vero, we have to say that we were walking in the mountains with Vero and Wally, the walkers of Jagat, and one of the neighbors say, oh, you should go and visit this garden. So we stopped and visited the garden. Claire was not here. There were nobody. We were just alone in this garden. And it was very marvelous. We found something, a very spiritual place, and it was a very strong moment that we shared. We spent a lot of time alone, the tree in this garden. And and it makes us decided with Vero. We say, oh, we don't know where to go. We didn't know where to go. We don't have house. And we say, I have a member of a family that have an older house nearby. And we say, okay, let's try to live somewhere in this area, beautiful area with these people, and to share the project. So I think it's a big emotion for Vero and I to be in the South Half. I thank very much Claire, because it was on the way, on a walk, and we decided to stop because of the garden.
Wonderful. Thank you, Celine. Many, many thanks also for introducing us to Claire. And we would like to hear from her. Yeah.
À moi?
Claire, ouais.
Yep.
Moi, je voulais vous remercier beaucoup de m'avoir accueilli, d'avoir permis de parler de ce projet. C'est vraiment un projet qui nous tient beaucoup, beaucoup à cœur et qui permet à pas mal de personnes qui sont isolées à retrouver un sens dans leur vie, à retrouver aussi le plaisir de rencontrer des personnes. Et ça, je pense que c'est vraiment hyper important. Et le fait que ça se fasse à travers un jardin, eh ben, ça s'inscrit vraiment dans votre mouvement. Et moi, je suis contente d'avoir rencontré Isaline et Véronique. Et ben voilà, on a des projets de monter un projet ensemble pour la saison prochaine et de voir comment on peut inscrire un peu l'esprit de Jagat à l'ourte de Bénévent. Donc voilà, c'est une belle rencontre, et l'ourte de Bénévent, c'est une succession de belles rencontres qui font vivre le jardin. Voilà, merci.
Okay, I translate, or somebody wants to translate?
Ah oui, c'est vrai.
Okay. Claire thanks everybody to be here and to share this moment. She was very happy to share a project because it's a very strong project for them, and this project is important because it's permit to people that live alone or that are very isolated to go out of this isolation and to meet people and to share with others. So and this with the garden. So this is very, very important. And it's a nice meeting. Like she said, the garden is always meeting people. And she was happy we meet with Vero and her. And we will try to keep on with action this year that goes with the pillars of Jagat, and to see how we can create more links. And so with the idea of Jagat and the idea of the garden of the association with Claire. So we will keep on working in the garden.
Of course. Many, many thanks, Claire, Celine, Denis, Alain. Thank you very much for this amazing discussion. You have given us a lot to think. And also thank you very much, Riva, and all the people who is joining here, and also the people who is watching us on the live streaming on Facebook. Thank you. Remember, tomorrow we are having our day on cleaning water, which is also very related to this, to planting gardens. So also we hope you can also follow us there and see you will learn some of the updates from today's and tomorrow's also actions across the world for this 12 days campaign. Thank you very much, and we hope to see you tomorrow. Jay, could we play our final musical video clip? Oh, Denny, would you like to say something?
No, I want to say thank you. Say that's
okay.
जंगल छोड़ब नहीं, माय माटी छोड़ब नहीं, लड़ाई छोड़ब नहीं, गांव छोड़ब नहीं, जंगल छोड़ब नहीं, माय माटी छोड़ब नहीं, लड़ाई छोड़ब नहीं। बांध बनाए, गांव डुबोए, कारखाना बनाए, जंगल काटे, खादान कोड़े, सेंचुरी बनाए।